Welcome back to my channel. My name is Hanok. If you're new here, I'm a system administrator based in Boston, Massachusetts. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the cons of working in information technology. If you haven't already checked out the video I made on why you should become a system administrator, I'll link it up somewhere over here. Be sure to check that out. In that video, I talked a lot about the pros of becoming a system administrator or working in the IT field. In this video, I'll cover all the cons, things to be worried about, so you can get both sides of the story and decide for your own. Number one is workload. As a system administrator or a help desk person, you're gonna have a lot of work to do. You're consistently putting out fires, you're helping users with their issues. At the same time, you might be working on bigger projects that have deadlines. With information technology, there is always work to be done, and that can sometimes lead to burnout. So something to be wary about. Number two, I would say IT can eat up a lot of your personal time. What I mean by that is that a lot of times you have to be on an on-call rotation. Usually you rotate between the different people on your team, but that team sometimes is very small, sometimes it's large. While you're home, you might be getting calls that you have to attend to. This could be in the middle of the night sometimes. This also depends obviously in the company and the industry you're working on something customer facing and that thing has to be up 24/7, then there's a good chance you have to be on call for a long time. Whereas if it's not consumer product or customer facing thing, then there might be a bit more leeway. But most of the time there's going to be some kind of on-call that you have to do. Additionally, you're interrupted all the time. Let's say you're working on a bigger project, expect to be interrupted by users, right? Especially if you're working in a help desk, you're going to get phone calls, emails, tickets are going to come in where you might have to deal with it right away. If users can't work, it's your responsibility to go and fix that thing. Third, I would say is responsibility. And I have a few things under this umbrella that I'm grouping together. So the first thing I would say is it's your responsibility to make sure your infrastructure is running. And if you don't, there's pressure on you because that could mean the business losing money. And it's not gonna sit well with whoever is your manager or higher ups like the CEO or whatever. So responsibility to make sure things are running, there are backups of your data. If anything happens, the infrastructure is your responsibility to keep it running. Related to that, I would say no matter what it is, it's your responsibility to fix whatever infrastructure related thing is broken. And this could be things that, you know, somebody built like years ago. You weren't even in the company, especially if you're working in a smaller environment. The previous sysadmin or IT person could have built something, could have been running for years, and all of a sudden it breaks. It's your responsibility to fix that. The stakes depend obviously on what that thing is, but it's still your responsibility. Last thing I would say related to responsibility is that you consistently have to be learning what's new. In order for you and your company to stay relevant, you have to stay up to date with the new technologies that are coming out, and you need to figure out how to implement that in your company. And this depends on your role within the company. If you're like in a help desk, there isn't that much responsibility on you to learn new and upcoming technologies, although it would be beneficial to you to do that, to help your career. But someone like a senior sysadmin is going to have to do that, so that's something to keep in mind. Next thing I would say is that you'll be dealing with all sorts of people, unless you work in like a specialized role where you're only working on the network side or maybe just in a data center. Chances are you're supporting a lot of users, and not all users come nicely. I don't know how to word this, but you're going to be dealing with angry customers. You're going to be dealing with people that are impatient. So you're going to have to know how to navigate those conversations. And I mean, that's part of the job. And you'll learn with experience as well. But yeah, it's something to keep in mind, right? And in my experience, that's been very minimal. There's a lot more good people and happy customers than there are negative and bad customers. But it's just one of those things that in any kind of customer facing role, you'll need that kind of skill set to deal with people that are generally more angry or more mad or impatient. The last thing I'll mention is toxic culture. This is a weird one because it's not, I don't think it's specific to IT. I think it's more in the tech world. I think in tech related roles, there's sometimes a tribe mentality, and I mean those in two different ways. There's the aspect of, you know, being in this group, and once you're inside, you know, there's this kind of team kind of thing where, you know, it's a bunch of dudes who like video games and anime and all that stuff, and I love those things, but I think it could be unwelcoming to those that might still be interested in IT and in tech, but those aren't their hobbies. And this might be just my personal experience, could be completely different, but I think that's something I would keep in mind. And the other side to that is, within a company, a lot of times an IT team will be very disengaged from the rest of the company. All right. A lot of times, and it's not like a one-sided thing, right? Sometimes there are people that think that they know best because they don't understand what it takes to run an infrastructure. So there's this like back and forth where they think they know best, but IT people usually are like, that's not how that's going to work. Sometimes there could be bad blood. And I think that's where, you know, soft skills come in handy, right? Having communication skills is going to be super important when you're trying to explain things to users or stakeholders in a project or stuff like that, because otherwise they'll make their own assumptions. You know, they'll have a budget, and the IT budget might be way too small than what it needs to be. So yeah, I kind of got a topic from the toxic culture, but I think that's the best word I could find to describe that problem. Also, a lot of IT folks, I think, wear glasses, and look what happened to mine this week. It's just new business idea, one eye glass. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you agree or have any questions. I'm more than happy to discuss the claims that I've made. And until next time, peace.